shine, this little light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine, this little light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
Recently, I was in a situation where a man was laying out the truths of Christianity. So laying out these are the truths of Christianity. And when he got done laying out the truths of Christianity, he laid out the essentials of what it means to be a Christian. And in essence, he laid out a checklist. And his final premise or conclusion was, unless you can check this checklist, you aren't really a Christian. That this checklist is the difference between being a Christian and not being a Christian. And quite honestly, I walked away from the situation in angst. And I stomped and I spew, and that's what I do first. And then after I finish stomping and spewing, I start sorting through what I had heard and why it twisted my stomach. And there were some ahas that I had. First of all, my stomach gets in a twist when things are black and white and insider and outsider, because I don't think that is in alignment with the good news of what Jesus says to us. I was also in angst, his truths. These are the things, the truths, they're not my truths. One of his conclusions was that the Bible is a history book, primarily a history book. And I tell my confirmation kids all the time, it wasn't intended as a history book or primarily as a history book or science book. It is a book of faith. So that was another one of his premises that didn't set well with me. And anytime there's Christianity with a checklist, that always sends me sailing. But the core of why I left in angst was the business of grace. And grace really had everything to do with all the rest of the checklist. He mentioned that the good news is about grace and God giving us these gifts freely and without payment and not because we deserve them. And then went on to say, but you must do this and this and this and this if you're really going to be a Christian. And it's absolutely at tension with grace and good news. Now, this is to say, from him and forward, what we believe about Jesus has direct impact not only on this relationship, but what we believe about Jesus has direct impact upon these relationships. What we believe about Jesus matters in and for our lives. Yesterday, our youngest graduated from Oregon State. It was a really fabulous day. It was a poignant day. The speaker that they had come in was a man, I'm not even going to try his name. He is from Turkey. He arrived at Oregon State in 1963. By the time he got to Oregon State from Turkey, there was $100 left in his pocket. And from there, he went on and has become this incredibly successful international business person. He started a university in Turkey that is now the fourth largest university in Turkey. Incredible man. And his message, there was more to it than this, but the core of his message to those graduating Oregon Staters yesterday was this: be kind. Now, remember, this man's from Turkey. Think about what's going on in and around Turkey and his neck of the woods and what that looks like and what that means. And I understand at some level, be kind sounds like a kindergarten message, but if we really believed that kindness was a core value, what would our world look like? It would be very, very different. What we believe affects who we are. There's a book out there, and it's about Pope Francis. I believe it's Mark Schreiber. I think I have the right name of the author. And he's The Pilgrimage to Discover the Real Pope Francis. And as he's thinking about how Pope Francis developed in his young life and what that looked like, it becomes clear that Pope Francis has two core values as he is a follower of Jesus. And those core values are humility and mercy. Now think about what we know of Pope Francis and the way he has stepped into pastoral ministry as Pope. One of the first things the man did, his very first Maundy Thursday, he didn't go over and wash the feet of the cardinals. He went to a detention center, locked down of juvenile delinquents. And there he washed and kissed the feet of criminals, boys and girls, Christians and Muslims. Do you think who he is and how he operates from a place of humility and mercy has effect upon who he is? So today, asking the question, what did Jesus do in Matthew? What did that look like? Because the truth is who Jesus is and what Jesus does has every effect upon us. So here are the questions. Do we have some numbers, or are you going to put them up as we chat here? This was the poll you had. Oh, there's one. Okay, here they come. I think they've done the math. Isn't that fun? You never know what's going to happen at church, right? Oh, look at that. A lot of you think that accepting thing is pretty important. Okay, guys, I totally love the checks, but they take enough time. Can you just put numbers up for us? I know the checks are cooler, but... Okay, let's start thinking about the implications here. Interesting. Let's think about giving. If giving is one of our core beliefs of what it means to follow Jesus, of who Jesus was and what it means to follow Jesus, when have we given enough? And can we give enough? Believing, then what does that believing look like? What is it that we are to confess? I love it, guys. Fabulous. Serving, telling, trusting, welcoming, and we're down to the last one. Thank you so very much. So it's very interesting. From this congregation, it's the serving, faithfulness, believing, and accepting. Is that what I'm seeing as the top responses? Is that what you see? It's very interesting. Accepting is certainly part of our mission statement, who we profess to be. Thank you for the numbers, guys. Thank you. So why is this important? Well, this is important because how we see Jesus has everything to do with how we follow Jesus. So, what did Jesus do? What does it boil down to according to St. Matthew? Well, here's what it boils down to. Jesus cured the sick, he raised the dead, he cleansed the lepers, and he cast out demons. So if we are followers of Jesus, is it not our call to cure the sick, raise the dead, cleanse the lepers, and cast out demons? And it became apparent that the call committee was remiss because I have yet to cleanse a leper. And now you know. It's probably a good thing you know now. So that's kind of strange language, right? What do we do with that language? How about if we boil it down to this? Jesus was all about healing and liberating. Because whenever Jesus healed someone, and often when he healed them, he would say, you are forgiven. Take up your mat and walk. Whenever Jesus healed someone, he took away the heaviness of the blindness or the bleeding or the lameness or the demons. They were healed so that they could be liberated to be the fullness of who they were intended to be. So as followers, it is our call to speak those same healing words and offer that same liberation to the world around us. Now, isn't it interesting, if we can come to this conclusion from St. Matthew, how often the church does just the opposite and hands people checklists of what is put upon them, instead of a reminder that we have been healed from sin, death, and the devil, and we've been liberated to be who we've been called and blessed to be. So, this day, people of God, you are indeed called to cure the sick, raise the dead, cleanse the lepers, and cast out demons. Even more, you are called to a place of healing and liberation, of offering and speaking words of well-being and emancipation to all people. But along the way, I think our Pope, the Pope, would remind us that humility and mercy are good additions. And we could sprinkle some kindness in there too. Amen.
Well,